Welcome to AZTechCast, sponsored by the Arizona Technology Council, with your hosts, Steve Zylstra and Karen Nowicki. AZTechCast is dedicated to covering innovation and technology in Arizona and beyond. Broadcasted monthly, AZTechCast invites leading experts to have real conversations about what is happening in the tech sector across the state of Arizona. From regional news to innovative startups, companies, and emerging technologies, AZTechCast covers the critical issues and economic trends propelling the state's growing tech ecosystem.
Here we go. In an increasingly digital world, it's critical for business leaders to explore digital transformation or the creation and modification of business processes, culture, and customer experiences to meet changing business and marketing demands. But where do we start? Welcome to Phoenix Business RadioX. I'm Karen Nowicki, president and owner of Phoenix Business RadioX, and I would like to welcome to you this episode of AZ TechCast, sponsored by the Arizona Technology Council. AZTechCast is dedicated to covering innovation and technology in Arizona and beyond. Broadcasted monthly, AZTechCast invites tech and business experts to have real conversations about what's happening across the state of Arizona. AZTechCast discusses the critical issues, topics, and trends propelling the state's growing tech ecosystem. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to today's featured guests. We have Kristen Harder, Digital Marketing Manager with Zorro Sign. Welcome, Kristen.
Hello, thank you.
I sure wish you were sitting by my side. We'll have to have you back on to do that
I know, next time for
next
sure.
time. And Steve Irons, president of Doc Solid. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Karen. Thank you.
And where are you joining us from?
I'm joining you from Phoenix, Arizona on
Yeah.
Central Avenue.
Accent. So not
at
too
our-
far.
That's our headquarters.
Very good. A little further than a stone's throw, but not too far. And Tiffany Ma, senior solution consultant at OneStream Software. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And where do we have you buzzing in from?
I'm currently in Boston,
Well,
a little outside of Arizona.
That's okay. Quite a bit further than a stone's throw. We're happy to have you today. Along with these accomplished digital transformation experts, we also are joined by Steve Zylstra. He's the president and CEO of Arizona Technology Council, and we'll be discussing the innovative technology solutions that are helping companies to reimagine their operational workflows. We have a lot of interesting content to cover, so let's dive in. And before we do that, hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. Thanks, Karen.
Well, we are excited about today's conversation, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Very good. So let's kick it off. Steve and I will take turns asking questions. And again, I've encouraged our guests to kind of add on to what everyone is speaking. So we have a well-rounded conversation and a lot of ground to cover. Let's start by having each of you speak briefly to just an opportunity to introduce yourself, the role that you play in your organization, and of course, how your organization fits into the Arizona tech ecosystem. Kristen, would you be willing to start for us?
Absolutely. So I am originally from Fort Myers, Florida, and I moved out to Phoenix for school. Went to GCU for a couple years and then got connected at Zorro Sign, and I've been working there for the last 2 years as a digital marketing manager. A little bit more about Zorro Sign. We are a multi-chain blockchain digital signature platform, and our headquarters are here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Very good. Again, welcome. And what I'd love to do, and we might have said this in the green room, but I was taking a quick break in between shows. We would love for each of you just to jump in instead of Steve or I having to kind of, gatekeep. There might be this awkward pause for a moment, but let's just make it a well-rounded conversation as if we're just, sitting across the table from each other. So I would love to just open it up to either Stephen or Tiffany to introduce themselves next.
Go for it, Stephen.
I like that. Toss the baton.
That's a difficult one. I'm going to let Tiffany go first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tiffany. I am a senior solutions consultant at OneStream. So senior solutions consultant, meaning I'm in the pre-sales side. So when a customer comes to us and says, we're looking to purchase a solution to help us manage either accounting, finance, anything under the Office of Finance, a solution, can we take a look at your software? I'll come and show them our software, to talk to the value benefits of it. OneStream software is at a very high level. It basically just enables finance groups within an organization to help better manage their decisions.
Okay, can't get out of this, Stephen. Your turn.
Okay, it's my turn. I'm Steve Irons. I'm president and founder of Phoenix-based Doc Solid. I'm an Arizona native. Went to grade school, high school, college in Arizona. I've moved away, but I've been back for about 30 years, and we're happy to have our company headquartered here in Phoenix. We have employees around the country, but about half of our employees are based here in Phoenix. Doc Solid makes digital mailroom solutions for the law firm marketplace.
And Steve Zelstra, we always want to give an opportunity for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little about Arizona Technology Council.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you to our guests for being on today. We really appreciate it. I'm Steve Zylstra, President and CEO of the Arizona Technology Council. We're a statewide technology trade association representing over 750 member companies. We do public policy advocacy on behalf of the tech ecosystem. We do about 100 to 150 events a year. We negotiate lower cost products and services for our members, and we publish a lot of products, including our magazine Tech Connect and our monthly newsletter Tech Doc.
Steve, before we jump into our next question, and maybe this might be an entry point to it, why this conversation today? When you're out there advocating and working with the companies that you do that represent our ecosystem, why is it important to have these three professionals with us today?
Well, I think, we've been talking about digital transformation in this country for the last decade or more. But I think you'll hear from our experts today, it really was accelerated as a result of COVID. Without the technologies we're using today for this podcast, business would have stopped and would have had a tremendous negative impact on our economy. So I think, technology is about improving our lives in some way, shape, or form. That's what digital transformation is about, moving away from, paper and pencil and using digital means for all business related activities. So it's a critical part of the tech ecosystem. These are tools that are used by not just technology companies, but every company today. So this transformation is really critical, and it's really an epoch in our society, if you will.
And I hear it more and more that companies, again, for profit, not for profit, admitting and saying that they are a tech company. They have to be a tech company, to some degree because of everything that you've just shared, Steve. So, again, we thank Steve's team for bringing you all together. So, let's talk about that. How would you define digital transformation, each of you? And why is it important for companies to explore it to future proof their continued growth and success?
Digital transformation to me is a technological and a business process change, right? It's a transformation. Today, this day and age, there's more data available at our fingertips. And so businesses need to be able to access and analyze this data through either business systems or improvements, right? And it's through this data transformation. And so coming from my background, right, within the office of the CFO, in the past, it dealt with only accounting, budgeting, and reporting functions. Primarily, it was done through Excel spreadsheets or outdated, disparate legacy systems. And because the old processes were so inefficient and disconnected, most of the time spent by financial analysts was collecting, cleansing, consolidating that data to produce reports. Now, with a solution like OneStream or any modern digital technology, right, we have all the processes in one place. So we have the ability to bring in the more accurate and real-time data. And so now financial analysts are no longer spending their time doing the busy work of collecting the data and creating the reports. They're now letting OneStream do that for them. And they're spending time doing more value add things like analyzing the data, right? Or modeling out various scenarios to be prepared to quickly report to and adapt to changing times. So today, the office of the CFO is strategically involved with the rest of the business more than ever, as opposed to just siloed into the accounting, budgeting, and reporting pieces, right? We have quite a few customers in Arizona, but two big customers are Freeport McMoran, which is a leading international mining company with headquarters in Phoenix. A second big one is Avnet, which is a distributor of electronic components, also based in Phoenix. But the two main themes of these customers of ours is before OneStream, they had lots of manual work that was spent doing that, work in Excel and these old legacy systems. And now, as I mentioned before, they're now spending time doing these value add activities, and they're letting OneStream automate the work and get and cleanse the data, to report, to run the calculations, and it's their lives are just much better for these businesses, right? Freeport, more interestingly, is that international mining company. Even though they're headquartered in Phoenix, they're now actually managing their mines across the globe. So you can imagine how difficult that would be and how slow that would be if they were trying to do that using Excel spreadsheets that were sitting on someone's local computer.
And Karen, you asked about definition for digital transformation. Our businesses have been digital for some time now in most aspects, but digital transformation is just that. It's when you apply the power of digital information to change your business process and to optimize it. You said, explore it to future-proof your business. You just got to do that to be in the future. You've got to be able to, apply your digital assets to optimize your organization. So it is transformational. It's interesting that our company, which is really on a foundational level, helps law firms move paper onto their digital platforms. So we often get called digital transformation, but we're really just a small subset, kind of flooring for how that has to happen. And as if we needed a reminder, the pandemic and work from home movements force-fed optimized digital methods and behaviors on organizations. And now we have a hybrid workplace. It's permanent. And that just, again, forces or emphasizes companies to be able to operate optimally with their digital assets. And so, that's what we help law firms do in our small segment.
And just to add to that too, on our side of things are assigned the digital signatures. How we would define digital transformation is moving the key operations from signing, sending, tracking documents from the paper-based to digital. And you're going to get the cost savings that comes with that, as well as the environmental savings. You're reducing your paper intake and your carbon footprint from transporting and bringing paper places to have signatures signed. And so, yeah, I guess I just add on to that. I feel like you guys killed it with the first two answers, but
well, if everybody used Kristen's technology, I'd be out of business. So got to leave a little bit of paper left for us to do our rudimentary scanning to it. Okay, but that's working out. It's working out just fine though so far.
So we mentioned a little bit earlier that the pandemic has really accelerated the movement toward digital transformation. Can you each talk about how you've seen that acceleration in your own environment?
In the past, I've seen that any company that's faced change or has grown has really always had a need for digital transformation, right? And to me, that just means modernizing your technology and processes, removing the manual work, right? But with the pandemic, as you said, Stephen, this has brought on a slew of global economic of disruptions, right? It's the global economic changes, the supply chain, the inflation, the geopolitical challenges, the looming recession, the list goes on, right? But with all of these forces, I've seen that I think it's become a real wake-up call for organizations that haven't undergone the digital transformation to get to a place where they can adapt and basically navigate through this disruption, right? It's kind of like, to Steve's point earlier, you just kind of have to survive, if not, with digital transformation, especially through the pandemic here. just to give another example of a customer, McCain Foods, they're not in Arizona, but if you've ever had a McDonald's French fry, you've had a McCain's food product. They supply the French fries to them. But during the pandemic, the CFO needed to see his financials on a daily frequency. And so he asked that their current OneStream system be converted to a daily reporting of the company's cash and capital position. So with OneStream, we were able to build a new application and dashboards containing that daily data in just 9 days, right? And so now McCain can monitor their business and make the decisions in real time, which is so critical, right, during the pandemic, because things were just changing all the time. And so I think that's really been the genesis of the need for companies to have this digital transformation in this time of day.
Kristen, what
Yeah,
have
I
you
think
seen as zero sign?
I mean, for us, the pandemic, I think, was a big catalyst because businesses, governments, they all switched to home. And, then it started, you're working online, you're meeting digitally, and your workflows, creating, editing, signing documents, all also had to go online because you can't meet in person anymore. Actually, for ZoroSign, we moved our headquarters over to Phoenix in 2020. So the pandemic was definitely a huge factor in playing into that as well.
Yeah, and in our business with large law firms, or big law as it's called, those are our customers, the biggest law firms around the world. Well, they were already in the back half of a decade of digital transformation, but when they all had to go home and work there, you have this dynamic in this particular vertical market that the older attorneys and their partners, so their business owners, they're in the business of creating documents, and part of that cycle goes through paper. They love it. And so for about half the attorney population, they were pretty resistant to digitization exercises. But when they had to go to home offices, they had to change their behavior. They didn't have a staff around them that could serve them up with a file or schlep a document down the hall. And they already had electronic document management systems in place, and they start to use them. And we saw, was it Churchill that said, never waste a good crisis? Well, this crisis now has taken this non-compliant or harder to adopt portion of the attorney population and made them more digital in their behaviors. So early on in the pandemic, we had big law firm customers who, didn't know what to do yet. And attorneys would literally drive into town and somebody would meet them, some essential worker would meet them at the curb with a file. Can't tell you the law firms, but a lot of them, too many of them. And mail, which is what we focus on, is mission critical in a law firm because the courts will send orders that require the law firm to respond within a certain number of days. And clients send mail and opposing counsel sends this. It's important. But it was just stacking up on the desks. And then what happened is all law firms have a way to scan, so they kind of cobbled together primitive ways to get scanned email working. But that did a lot of security and governance violations. So it just created this opportunity in this crisis to digitize that last bastion of paper-based operation out of necessity. And now that they have a choice, nobody wants to go back once they can become digital in their mail, integrate it with their other business processes. Nobody wants to go backwards. So you got a hybrid workforce. Some people in on certain days, but just one way to deliver the mail. Used to be in paper at almost every law firm. It's crazy. But now it's digital.
As a sidebar, and not intended to go down a rabbit hole, but I have a couple clients who are attorneys, and in this conversation, as it relates to going digital and hybrid, the relationship with the role that they play and the courts, right, who weren't really necessarily prepared, from what I understand, for the hearings online and those sorts of things. For the attorneys that I know who are very digital savvy and tech savvy, they were like, finally, that we have to force the courts to this place of ease and automation and that sort of thing. So that I think it needs to be another whole show. So we'll pin that one for right now.
They're just different lanes.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
In the law community, courts are in one lane, attorneys are in one, clients are in one, but they're all running the same race, just in different lanes. Now they're kind of getting lined up.
And we have to, because as Steve opened up for us, this digital economy and this need to have every company see themselves through a technological lens is critical for sustainability as a business. We're going to have another question in just a moment. We're going to break for our first shout out to Arizona Commerce Authority, who is AZTechCast 2022 innovation sponsor. Let's pause for a word from Arizona Commerce Authority.
Our streamlined pro-business approach helps you achieve more by putting less between you and future success. Less red tape, lower taxes, less distance separating you from the tech leaders of tomorrow. This innovative ecosystem will supply your business with tools and resources to compete in the 21st century and beyond. But your future is more than just business success. In Arizona, the lifestyle you want is at your fingertips. Explore cities known for their Southwest heritage and modern vision. Enjoy beautiful scenery and endless outdoor activities on land, water, or snow. And if you're looking for a little friendly competition, we've got plenty of teams to choose from. With constant sunshine, vibrant culture, and natural wonder, Arizona provides a style of living that's entirely unique. People from all over the world call our state home. From student leaders who fill the classrooms of our top-ranked universities, to a skilled and abundant workforce that's ready for what's next. To the neighbors, friends, and peers we interact with daily, Arizonans are united by a pioneering spirit that moves us forward. So as you look to the future, know that it's filled with the perfect balance of innovation and high-quality living that makes life better here.
Steve, you talked a little bit about the old guard and the resistance to change. The great thing is that the generation, say, that's coming out of college now, doesn't have to transform, right? They're all digital. It's really exciting to see the next generation push the old guard along in this process. I wanted to give each of you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about the solutions each of your companies provides and moving us away from pencil and paper to all digital. So whoever wants to start, you've talked a little bit about this in the course of our discussion so far, but any more details you want to share with us about your particular product and service?
Yeah. So ZoroSign, we are a digital signature platform. And so the very idea of moving people from paper to digital is kind of what we stand for. And so in terms of the solution that we offer, it'd be the whole company. But also the other things that we have added on that I feel like give people a peace of mind in signing digitally is we have our entire architecture is built on blockchain. And so we have that added privacy and security aspect. And we started from the ground up with the priority of prioritizing other people's privacy and security when signing digitally. And so, yeah, I think that those would be the two solutions. And we have, AI, ML, and other technology stacks that we've added in helping with this.
I bought a new car and switched banks during all of the pandemic and recently, and never met people on the other side, right? It was all done, all my signatures, all the in secured situations. So is that, Kristen, that's the kind of work that you guys do? Who do you
Yeah.
specifically?
Yeah, we do digital signatures. In terms of the people who use us, it's anyone who needs to sign documents. So we see a lot of the early adopters are people in the finance industry, law firms, as well as, real estate, IT companies.
Hey, Kristen, can you educate me a little bit about the value that blockchain foundation brings to your solution?
Yeah,
Good
absolutely.
question.
Yeah, so blockchain essentially is a decentralized database. So instead of having a centralized database, all of your information stored in one place, say it were to be hacked, they have access to all of your information. Whereas with blockchain, it's blocks of data chained together. And so, say somebody hacks in or changes a comma on one block of data, you're going to be able to go back and see exactly who changed it, when they changed it, where they changed it. And it's going to be recorded in the blockchain. So that's my short answer from a marketing perspective, but I hope that clears it up a little bit.
So is it like secure auditability, basically through the blockchain security?
Blockchain is very secure. Yeah, it's one of the most secure ways to maintain data. Some people refer to it sort of as a digital ledger, and it's really transforming business and industry. They're using it in all kinds of applications. Imagine someday when, for instance, everything related to your identity, your passport, your driver's license, your marriage license, all of that stuff could be on a blockchain. You could get access to it anywhere, anytime. Again, it's digital. It's in these blocks. No one else can tamper with it. So it's really cool technology. Steve, what about we've heard quite a bit from you about what you do for law firms, but anything further you want to add?
Well, I'll just double down a little bit on what Kristen said about security, because as we become more digital, we have to be looking over our shoulders at security issues all the time. And in law firms, also governance, chain of custody, who has been in possession of a digital item and such. So our digital mailroom solution for law firms, we built it during the pandemic. We woke up in March of 2020 and said, wait a minute, how are they going to get the mail out? They used to have a mailroom clerical staff that would get the U.S. postal mail and the FedExes today, and they'd sort them, put them in wire baskets on wheels, and roll them out through many floors of the firm. They do that around the country and around the world, but the people weren't in the office anymore. So obviously this needed to be scanned and then sent to the recipients. But after the scanning happens, our software takes over. Some mail might be addressed to an attorney, but that attorney doesn't get her mail. It goes to an assistant. Might be a legal matter. That's what they call them, a matter. And there might be a matter team that needs to know this court order just came in. So the software would know to send a notification to everybody on the matter team. Essentially, the clerical workers can kind of do what they were doing before. It's keeps it clerical, but the software and the workflow around it is built to satisfy a law firm. So if a mail item needs to be calendared because it has to have a certain response date, it goes to a function in a law firm called docketing. Mailroom doesn't have to know that. Our software knows that. And the docketing function gets a notification that mail item is there. But the big thing that we do that's different from a security standpoint is when law firms were kind of doing an Apollo 13 and saying, okay, how do we get something done? How do we get something scanned in the early days of the pandemic? They would just walk over to their scanning copiers and they'd scan something as an email with a PDF attachment. But that has a lot of security problems with it. So if that PDF that's been scanned as a mail item and it contains sensitive client information or HIPAA information, things that just can't get out, it's really loose when you send it out in an email system. So we're integrated with the firm's electronic document management software. It's where they keep their stuff, and we put mail directly into the market-leading document management software solutions that are out there. That's what these law firms are running. So we're actually putting it where it's going to end up from the get-go. And we just have integrations with all of those different software companies that create a daily mail folder for each user in their system. So, we had to write this, we had to integrate with those other solutions. But in the end, what we have is a more efficient, but also a vastly more secure method of delivering the mail digitally. And so that security aspect of things is a crucial part of what we take care of in our digital mailroom.
I don't know if any of you have opted in for this, but the U.S. Postal Service uses a technique where they scan everything, and I get an email every morning that shows me what mail is going to be in the mailbox. And if you're waiting for something important or whatever, it's useful.
I love it. Yep, same.
Then just imagine that they had a bunch of people that could also open them up and scan everything that was inside. You're getting a lot closer to where it needs to be for a law firm. Law firms do the same thing. Law firms might tell the mailroom, if it says confidential on the outside of the envelope, we don't want our clerical staff to open that up. So they just send an image of the outside of the envelope, and then the software has built into it an opportunity for the attorney to click a button and say, yeah, go ahead and open that and scan it to me. Or don't scan that, go deliver it to my desk. I'll be in on Tuesday. In other words, a way to reconcile the portion of the mail that they can't open, and they're only going to scan the outside of the envelope, like U.S. Postal Service does.
Cool. Tiffany, what about OneStream?
Yeah, so OneStream is not as applicable to daily lives as Kristen and Steve's examples are. Again, it's kind of a niche area, but just at a high level, we call it corporate performance management. It's basically just, as I said before, enabling finance groups to help the businesses make better decisions. So I'm going to take your question of what our company does and kind of take it a step further and say explain a specific feature that helps our customers. So for most companies right now, mid-sized to larger, it takes finance and accounting users time to gather your information from various sources, cleanse it and aggregate it up into a view of the business to have the information to be meaningful and to help leaders make business decisions, essentially. It normally goes through a process of taking all of your systems like your subledger. I'm going to go into kind of accounting technical terms, but you're taking transactional detail like your point of sale systems from maybe a restaurant or business or invoice detail. And then it aggregates all that up and consolidates all that information into a general ledger. So Stephen, you mentioned the blockchain being a digital ledger, right? It's same concept. It's bringing all that transactional and operational information to this consolidated view. Then that feeds into either Excel or another system that has to then get that information into a digestible format to where you're looking at your business in a way that you run it, meaning you're now able to see it in a holistic view of your business by customer, by your products, by your regions, right? And this generally happens on a monthly basis. We call this a month-end close process. And so imagine having to wait until the end of the month when the close is complete to be able to understand how your business is doing and how you're able to dictate how to run it. So with the technology that we call Analytic Blend in OneStream, we're now able to take those source systems like those point of sale systems or the invoice detail systems, and we're able to bring it directly into OneStream. So you're basically bypassing those middle layers of that general ledger or the Excel files or other systems. So instead of having to wait until the end of the month, they're able to analyze and compare how their key metrics and KPIs are pacing against their run rates for the month. And so we're able to do this on either a weekly or even a daily basis before your month end close. And so businesses are now able to be more agile and can adapt to environments that are changing all the time, especially during, let's say, a pandemic, right? And so at OneStream, we've termed this financial signaling. So this means the business is basically getting a continuous pulse of the business on an everyday activity. And so instead of having to react at the end of the month after receiving those numbers, they're now able to proactively take action ahead of the month to continually drive your performance. A couple of examples: BDO is a big global assurance, tax and advisory services group. They are able to bring in, just to give a little bit of context, 10 million records nightly into the OneStream. And so that then is transformed into 30 to 40 million rows of data. And that ultimately ends up in 300 trillion cells of intersection. So that's a lot of data. And you're doing that overnight in a couple of hours. And the next day, the users are able to see in a dashboard or report all their numbers from the previous day, which is pretty cool.
That's a great use case. The tool provides an opportunity for managers and leaders to make real-time decisions in their business, not having to wait till it's too late, which is after the month close.
Yep, exactly. Got it.
Let's switch gears here for a minute. What obstacles do businesses, governments, and individuals face in moving to digital operations? We talked briefly about it when I mentioned the courts and those, businesses running alongside each other. But let's open it up to everyone. What obstacles do businesses, governments, and individuals face in moving to digital operations?
I think generically, adoption is a big one, and that was what we were talking about earlier with the courts, but also even in Kristen's business, if you're going to do digital signature in a transaction, both sides need to agree that that's going to be the way it's going to get done. That's why it took so long for digital signatures to take root in the mortgage business. If I've got a cool way to close a mortgage, but the party that's buying the house shows up and sits down and wants to sign a bunch of things and walk out with the paper, well, you've got to accommodate them. So adoption happens when you get all the parties in the transaction that are ready to make it the digital leap. And so I think adoption is kind of a big generic one. And I'd say the other one too is governance. A lot of these new things that we do require some sort of certification approval by either internal security and governance folks or outside policy folks from the government itself to say this is acceptable.
Yeah, to add to Steve's point, right, the governance point, I think it's a lot of effort, right? It takes a lot of time, money, resources. That's why it's a transformation. It's not just a simple project. And so, yeah, I think that's tough. And then obviously, people are just resistant to change in general. It's scary for people. Oftentimes in our area, people think maybe they're going to lose their jobs just because we're digitalizing things, but that's not true, right? I spoke about it before with our financial analysts. We implement a system and move off of these manual offline Excel spreadsheets. They're not losing their jobs. They're actually just spending time doing more value add things or more fun things, right? They're being able to be strategic with the business and analyze their numbers as opposed to just number crunching or like be known as bean counters, right? As accountants are sometimes known for, but that's not the case at all. So,
or you create more jobs with a
exactly,
healthier economy because you don't need more coal mining jobs, right? You need more jobs in better ways to power things. So this is table stakes. Digital transformation is what you need to show up. When you do that, there's a lot more jobs. And so if somebody's job is displaced, well, there's going to be a better one. That's what we hope for. Or heck, maybe work a 30-hour week. That'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Kristen, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, at ZoroSign, I feel like one of the biggest obstacles holding people back from taking that step into digital transformation and kind of going off of what Steve was saying is adoption, but taking that a step further is people have security concerns and they're worried that their information, since it's digital, since it's online, it's accessible to people. And while, ZoroSign can't claim to be hack proof. I don't believe anybody can claim to be hack proof. At least provide a solution, and you'll hear me probably say it again, built on blockchain, that gives that added peace of mind to businesses and individuals signing digitally.
By the way, Steve, I redid my mortgage before the interest rates went up, by the way, sort of at the floor. I did it all just like Karen's transaction with her car. I did it all online, never met anybody. It was a very smooth process. You sort of upload everything to a portal and they go through it and send you the paperwork and you're done. It's pretty cool.
I sold my house during this recent period, same thing. But I remember the last time I did it, it was a signing ceremony. So what I like to watch, what I think is a fascinating place to watch is how you sign your check and get your receipt in a restaurant. I love watching that. Europe is way ahead of us, and they bring the devices to the table and have everything you need. You could do it all there. But in America, again, because there's got to be readiness to accept that kind of transaction on both sides, it just has taken longer. But you watch your restaurants as they become more automated in the way you're going to sign for your check. And there's still a great diversity out there, but certainly the momentum's in one direction.
Even my favorite restaurants that I go to, I've watched them kind of switch back and forth between,
Yeah.
bringing it to the table, not, and I've never asked, but I'm very curious about, that transition for them and what kinks are they trying to work out?
Well, we're talking about digital transformation. So the way they sign for a check is just a piece of it. But
Mhm.
once you've got that device, now the wait person can take your order on that device.
Yep.
It can all be centralized both in the accounting office and the kitchen. So that's probably why you see them swapping them out too, because the pace of advancement and how that technology platform extends throughout the operation of the restaurant is fast. And it's not just about getting a check signed anymore.
I just
And
had
you
Digital transformation.
and you use the scanner on your phone for the menu.
Yeah,
You don't need menus anymore.
I hate
right,
that.
and then I just took this a step further in my mind. We're probably not too far off from the time that when we're looking at the menu, we're placing our order because places like Panera and those sorts of places are doing this already. Then, if we're talking about stakeholders and vendors, there's also an opportunity, real time, knowing what else needs to be ordered because the
Oh, yeah.
systems, as you've all spoken about, are now all part of it. And yeah, it's mind blowing as to the possibilities that we have. Yeah.
That's a good segue to my next question. And that's what are some of the long-term benefits of transitioning to digital for companies, for society? Can each of you speak to that?
I'll just talk about the short term benefits. It's called survival.
Which then becomes long term.
Yeah, it's better long term if you survived in the short term. I mean, we're just talking about restaurants, small businesses that are transforming to use digital approaches to solve their problems. You just aren't going to survive if you do it any other way. So I'm not smart enough to figure out how you could. Anyway, I think it's just a matter of survival.
Just to help long-term benefits with efficiency and effectiveness, right? It goes back to table stakes, Steve's point, right? But you want to be able to run your business efficiently, and you do that through digital transformation, in my opinion, right? A kind of more practical example is one of the biggest costs for any organization is labor. If you can plan your biggest costs using technology, you'll be able to focus on your margins and then ultimately your business, right? And depending on your industry, the compensation calcs for your employees can be highly complex. You can have complex business or bonus structures. You can have different geographical benefits, and if you don't have the systems and processes in place, you can't plan efficiently for your employees, and then it's trouble. So, my thought.
Yeah, and then also cost savings, not having to use paper, storage, transportation of paper, copying, printing, everything that comes along with it, as well as sustainability, just in the long term, saving trees and signing digitally.
I think bottom line issues are critical, right? This is all about efficiency and effectiveness, but I also see it particularly for this next generation do happier employees, right? Because you're
Absolutely.
not doing all these mundane things that are drudgery that we all used to have to do because they're being done electronically. So seems like that's helpful. Are there, we're the Arizona Technology Council. Are there technology trends that are influencing or accelerating this evolution of digital transformation?
We talked about, I think Tiffany's and Kristen's business is accelerated by the ability to manage big data, apply blockchain to it. 10 years ago, some of these things were in a lab, and now they're almost commoditized, the ability to tap into them. So, it's just like we got critical mass to be able to do this now.
I would say connectedness is kind of accelerating. I mean, we talked about, right, the shift to remoteness, remote work. Steve talked about the restaurant example, right? Like it's not just about the signature anymore. Now it's passing to the different systems. And, now it's, the Zoom or team meetings, and you just need the systems in place to talk to each other, and that there's less need for manual interventions. I think the need for connectedness is really driving it too.
Yeah, and like Steve mentioned, blockchain technology, I think, and specifically the business application of blockchain, because I think the world the word blockchain kind of gets lost in the crypto world when you say it. Just educating people about the business application of blockchain, I think, is going to help propel digital transformation and the continued trends within it.
So it
And,
seems,
and I agree about working from home. I mean, that's here. We're transformed on that. I don't think it's the new normal's clear to everybody yet because we haven't had normal time yet. But there's no way we're going back into those tall buildings in Manhattan for 5 days a week anymore.
No.
So
Yeah.
the digital infrastructure, the digital solutions, that's what's going to let human beings work the way they want to as it settles out between working in an office and working from home. That's what's going to help enable it.
Steve, we're transitioning our space on Central, just south of Thomas, to an event facility, taking out all the offices,
Wow.
creating a big boardroom so we can have board meetings there, and we're going to do events there because all of us now work from home,
Love
and
that.
it works
Yeah.
perfectly.
Well, we're neighbors, Steve, on Central. I'm
Yeah.
down across from Durant, so I'll come to your events. And
Well, we're across from Durant's, right across the street.
wait, are you at 2600?
We're at 2800. We're at the next building.
2600.
I
So
love it.
That's pretty cool.
keep the music down at those events. Will you?
All right. I'm trying to get some work done here. Hey, we've got about 10 minutes left, and as we always say, we could do another hour or two with you all. Before we ask the next question and begin to kind of round out our conversation, I want to make sure that we give proper shout out to our 2022 Tech Advocate sponsor, JDH Insights. Let's hear from them now.
Thank you, JDH Insights, for being our 2021 Tech Advocate sponsor. A leader in coaching and executive development, JDH Insights is committed to helping organizations cultivate and leverage their most important and complex asset, their humans. Visit jdhinsights.com to enhance leadership and improve team dynamics to take your business to the next level.
I think I just got a heads up from our producer. Did we say 2021 on there? I think we need to update those. Is that right, Daryl? Yeah, we need to update those sponsorship spots. Well, good to know now that we're halfway through the year. I love it. But and we're grateful for both sponsors being with us that long, right, Steve?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to mention one of the things that it seems so archaic to me that we still exchange dollars and coins, right?
Barely.
We already have digital currency, and the idea that we have to, give dollar bills or tens or 20s and change to people just seems so archaic. That needs to move all digital as well. And of course, we're moving in that direction. Are there any companies in Arizona or I guess outside Arizona that are really taking the lead in digital transformation that you all admire?
I don't know who all the companies are, but I'm always kind of proud of Arizona when I drive through the miles of solar panels out there in the desert on the way to California. And I just would like to see Arizona get out ahead and stay out ahead on that front. We're running out of water, but we're not running out of sun. So
Yeah, we have more days of sunshine than any other state in the United States. I just saw an article today. We are still a leader in installed solar in the U.S. Maybe not in the world, but in the U.S. But we work a lot in the area of clean energy and renewable energy, and are trying to get the powers to be to move or to accelerate faster to those kinds of solutions. And all the electric vehicle companies in Arizona are members of the Tech Council as well. So a lot going on in that space, Steve. Kristen or Tiffany, solutions out there that you really admire?
I would say for me, just the companies that are kind of embracing the platform idea, and that's kind of a little cheap shout out for OneStream because we are one of them. But the Salesforces, all the companies that are recognizing the connectivity. It goes back to my theme of everything needs to be connected, right? And with the platform, you have that ability to be connected and the flexibility to be able to build on anything. If you imagine like a development platform, whatever you want to build into a product. If you, whatever you imagine, you can build into it. And that's kind of the power of the platform. And so any company that's kind of embracing the platform idea, I'm really admiring.
I have no particular company in mind. I mean, companies that I admire that I think are embracing digital transformation, Google, all of the big dogs out there, and also just the early adopters who are trying new technologies and diving into the next level security here in Arizona, but no specific ones are coming to mind here.
You know what really impressed me is how both Microsoft with Teams and Zoom were able to essentially support the world, also make changes in real time, right? They had to adapt. There were a few, it was a little clunky at the beginning, but how quickly they were able to adapt. I mean, they enabled economies around the world to continue to operate. And if it hadn't been for those platforms, I don't know where we would be today. So they've really impressed the heck out of me. There were a lot of options out there, sir, that during the pandemic for doing events on platforms. I don't know if any of you experienced those. That some of those were kind of fun. We used one where you could create an avatar of yourself and walk around a expo, an exposition, and go to see speakers and so on. That was kind of fun. So a lot of innovation occurred during COVID. That's one of the things I think as we look back that will be impressive, the degree of innovation that occurred, not only to address COVID, right? The vaccines are a miracle, but also to allow society and business to continue. So those are the kinds of things that impressed me. I think the tech industry really stood tall during that time. So now we're going to ask you to get out your crystal ball. See, what do you think? What are your predictions about what we're going to see in terms of digital transformation over the next decade, say? You guys are on the ground, you get to see what's going on a daily basis, and maybe you get to see things that we don't get to see. Can you speak a little bit to what you see in the future?
So for ZoraSign, we consider ourselves a Web3 technology, and just the very concept of Web3 technologies coming into our world and transforming it digitally, that's one trend that I think that I predict would be very present in the next decade.
Yeah, I agree with Kristen. I also think AI ML is going to be big, and it's going to get big quickly, right? We are in the age of data, so the more data, the more the technologies need to keep up with the ability to process, cleanse, report on that data. Again, shameless plug for OneStream. We have a machine learning product called Sensible Machine Learning. But the idea here is you're able to create a more accurate forecast for your business by taking out human bias, adding in machine learning or statistical models. But ultimately, the goal is to help with the downstream processes, right? Yes, you get an accurate forecast, but for the downstream processes of labor planning or supply planning or inventory planning, right? If you think about one of our customers is a grocery store, you'll have less waste. Just giving, a real life applicable example of, if you have, let's say, $1 billion company and we save 1%, we gave 1% improvement in your forecast, that's still $10 billion, right? And that could equate to excess inventory that you could take off your balance sheet. One of our customers, Polaris, is a manufacturer of off-road vehicles, so ATVs, UTVs, snowmobiles. We had them go through, use Sensible Machine Learning, and they saw an improvement of their forecast accuracy in the double digits, which is really impressive. So I really think AI ML is going to really change the game.
Tiffany used the word earlier, platform. I think that power of platform companies, the power of platforms can become a big factor. I mean, Amazon is going to get into food business, Microsoft, Google going to get into healthcare business. But the strength is from these digital platforms that they're able to leverage. And when they own them, it's monolithic in some ways. But probably it's always been the opportunity for the smaller companies will be to build solutions that tap into those platforms. But I think the notion of a platform that houses these powerful digital transformational capability sets it's going to be what new massive companies look like. And the next Microsoft is out there doing that right now. We still don't know who they are yet.
A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to both meet and listen to Mark Cuban speak when he was in town. And he had just finished reading AI for Dummies. He basically said that every business owner in the world, small, medium, and large, needs to understand AI and how to leverage it in their business, because it's going to transform businesses in a way that we can even comprehend right now. So, and again, it will be about taking drudgery out of the work processes, right? Because AI is really replicating what typically would have been a human process. It's not a robot walking around. It's really just replacing something that humans used to do that was onerous. And so I think that's my prediction, is that AI is going to change everything.
Imagine a platform company that could actually offer up AI in ways that it could solve small business problems through English language requests. I mean, Google does that now. Google punches a hole in the internet, lets you ask it a question. And years ago, we thought that was an outrageous idea, but that's, you do now. You punch a hole in the internet, ask it a question, and it's got an answer for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine you could do that with, of course, Google's got a little AI behind that as well.
Yeah, they do.
Universally applicable AI be amazing.
Well,
Karen, you want to take us home?
Yeah, so good. I really, I know Steve and I both appreciate each of you deeply, and I'm sure our listeners are blown away by the wisdom and really the communities and the businesses and industries that you serve. So thank you again for making time for us, and appreciate the camaraderie and the opportunity to ask questions of each other as well. You've been listening to AZTechCast, brought to you by Phoenix Business Radio with Business RadioX. AZTechCast was brought to you by the Arizona Commerce Authority, the state's leading economic development organization, with a streamlined mission to grow and strengthen Arizona economy. Thank you, Arizona Commerce Authority, and thank you as well to JDH Insights, the 2022 Tech Advocate sponsor. Visit jdhinsights.com to enhance leadership and improve team dynamics to take your business to the next level. If you're interested in becoming a podcast participant or sponsor for the Council's AZTechCast, please contact marketing at aztechcouncil.org to learn more about opportunities to further position you as a tech expert, influencer, and innovator. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thank you again for joining us for AZTechCast.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of AZTechCast with Arizona Technology Council, featuring leading tech and business experts that help influence and shape our great state and the industries they serve.